Yes, good evening. My name is Mina. I'm currently running for the U.S. Senate, and I just got done watching tonight's broadcast. Basically, the premier event that the Biden-Harris campaign had put together to introduce Ms. Harris as a running mate for Mr. Biden. And a lot of what they talked about pretty much revolved around the minority communities and their interests on providing assistance, and that they understand the struggles and plights of the minority groups in this country, special immigrants, because Ms. Harris' family came from an immigrant background. With that said, made me stop and reflect on my own experience under the Obama-Biden administration when I was working as a GS-12 for HUD under the Office of Public and Indian Housing. So during the time, the whole length of employment that I was in with HUD, I was being targeted for my race. I was the only non-African descent or African background in that office and department. I didn't know why I was targeted, and so I reported it to my superior. I reported it to HUD as well and requested for a formal investigation to be conducted. Unfortunately, all I got was a runaround from HUD, and basically the blame was put on me for being my race. And that's something that I'm having to figure out, why I was being discriminated against for my race in a department where everyone were minorities. And so I contacted the White House during the time that Mr. Obama and Mr. Biden were in charge of the administration, and all I basically received from the White House on my request for an investigation, a formal investigation to be conducted and for their office to intervene, was a statement saying that they were going to look into the issue, and that was pretty much it. They've completed their tour, or I guess their administration service, and I've never heard anything back from the White House or from HUD pertaining to a formal investigation, other than me being blamed and given the runaround. So I heard a lot of very contradictory statements this evening during the Biden-Kamala press release or public statement about them looking out for the minority communities, because I never experienced the Biden-Obama administration to be looking out for my special interests and case. They definitely did not provide any form of support, not even a listening ear or nothing that would help me go through the emotional and psychological and financial challenges that I ended up having to go through. So I think it was very contradictory of a statement that they were providing this evening versus my actual experience during the the Obama-Biden administration management type of efforts when they were in office. So I'm also baffled by Miss Harris's statement where she constantly uh, reflected on her family's immigrant background, which my family came from. I came from an immigrant background. My family immigrated to the U.S. just like Mrs. Harris' family immigrated to the U.S. But yet, when I shared my story with Ms. Harris' office before she decided to run for as a candidate for the Democratic presidential nominee, um, I didn't hear anything from her. So, I mean, there's just a lot of inconsistency and contradictory statement that I've heard, and it made me kind of, really uh, beyond uh, beyond angry. It just made me, you know, kind of judge them as hypocrites, really, because uh, contacted their office. I requested for support. I was by myself, and yet they didn't bother. They didn't, provide the assistance that they said that they're, you know, wanting to provide and have been providing to the minority community of this country. So, yeah, I just thought I'd share my story, and maybe, people can help me out and understand where they're really coming from. I understand it's an election season, and there's going to be a lot of promises and various opportunities for candidates to inform the public about who they are and what they stand for. But I think it's also important that the public go back and review the records of these politicians. I think it's important for the public to see, whether they're getting a lip service, or are there really substance to what these politicians are saying. With this said, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my video and message, and I hope what happened to me doesn't happen to anyone regardless of race, because it's a tragedy that in this day and age people are still having to fight over race and be discriminated against, and institutional racism being endorsed and exercised in either public or private sector. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to